I kind of feel like these are the types of fights where the wisdom and experience of someone like Dustin Poirier shines. Like there's a lot of reasons to be excited for Saint Denis, but it really surprised me that he opened up as the favorite. Like, you got to think that Poirier of old, the Poirier that fought McGregor the first time was very very vulnerable in the first sort of 90 seconds of the fight. Like, if someone clipped him in those first 90 seconds, generally they would hurt him. But after he'd settled into that, and a couple of minutes in, and he starts to relax, you start getting that little shoulder roll that he does, and then he starts stepping into range, square and throwing power punches. He's got a beautiful close range style where he brings his arms and shoulders up to duck underneath punches. And although it can look quite reckless, what we've seen over the years is that it's very, very effective against some of the most dangerous guys around. Like, to be able to wear people down and beat them to the punch and still take some damage and be able to work through it and create a lot more damage and trauma on your opponent in those kind of fights, for me, it is a very, very valuable thing that Dustin Poirier brings into a fight against someone like Saint Denis. Because you've got to think, Benoit's coming in to fight Poirier. He's like, yes, this is going to be a war. I'm fighting someone that McGregor fought. I'm fighting someone that, do you know what I mean? And there's going to be this excitement for him. Whereas for Poirier, it's about staying safe and being smart and keeping winning. I think that wisdom's going to be a big part of that fight. Yeah. Although, yeah, what was been going on? Because he was like, oh, the fight's off, the fight's on, the fight's off. The fight's still on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's still a co-main event on 299. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great card, to be fair. It's looking as good as UFC 300.
Yeah. It will be a banger, but why is Poirier being treated like a gatekeeper? Dan, it's a good question. An unfortunate reality is if you hang around for long enough and you're not the champion, then you'll eventually be used to build other people up. It's just, it's the nature of combat sports. And you kind of, like, fighters almost now at this point, they start to expect it. I think Poirier accepting this fight shows that. It's like, well, I'm not hanging on for the the legendary still active superstars right now. He recognizes that he's potentially in a position like Jim Miller realized a long time ago, and Cowboy as well. Another good example of someone that's been used to kind of filter and test fighters coming up through the ranks. Same situation I think Poirier is probably now going to find himself in. If he does keep fighting, he's going to end up being that gatekeeper kind of person. And that's not taking anything away from him. If you're a gatekeeper in the top 10 of the UFC, you're a world-class fighter. The gatekeeper, it's a bit of a, I don't know, it's got a bit of a negative connotation to it because it's like, well, your time's passed is kind of how it feels. And the reality is, if you're still in the top 10, top 15 in the UFC, your time's certainly not passed. And, you're still holding ground against the best fighters in the world, which shows a level of ability to evolve and adapt against the level that's rising around you. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Poirier, and I think that even though his styles can be quite unorthodox at times, there are lots of things that we can learn about it from an MMA perspective that I think people will start to integrate into their games a bit more consciously. Maybe after the fact. I think people maybe won't fully appreciate what Dustin Poirier is capable of until after his career. I feel like that about a few fighters, to be honest. Corey Sandhagen, another one. I think people really appreciate it now, but I think when we look back on his career after the fact, I think people will go, you know what, he was a chess master in there, in a very chaotic place.